Kansas Congressman Tracey Mann was on the floor last night. Of course, the joint address to Congress by President Trump was a doozy, and he joins us on KCMO. Congressman, how would you describe what you saw, what you watched, what you were obviously there for in one word?
One word, memorable. One word, I'd say one word would be electric. You know, I appreciate the comments you were listening a little bit before. You know, a lot of State of the Unions are not memorable. This was a memorable, historic speech, very poignant when he stood up there and said, America is back. And I think the country, whether they voted for Donald Trump or not, in their heart of hearts agreed with him. I wholeheartedly agree. So I think that's memorable. He led with the border. The number one campaign issue was the border. Promises made, promises kept. And the other point of thing is the stories that he weaved into the policy points that he was making. I thought he hit a grand slam homer out of the park. I thought it was fantastic, and it was just great to get to be there.
How surprised were you by the other side of the aisle's actions and reactions? We knew they weren't going to be standing up cheering for the guy, but to me, one of the biggest takeaways was just how negative they were the entire night. Was that a surprise to you, or did you expect that?
With the Dems, I don't know that anything surprises me anymore, Pete, to be honest with you. That said, disappointing. Hey, I believe strongly when the President of the United States, the leader of the free world, walks into the room, you stand up to respect the office, period. They, from the moment he walked in, wouldn't even stand. And then you look at the things, when he is holding up somebody, a child who was fighting brain cancer, the Democrats wouldn't stand for that. When he appointed a young man to West Point, they wouldn't stand for that. When he talked about the insanity of this multi-gender craziness, and he said there are only two genders, they wouldn't stand for that. The list goes on and on and on. Lincoln Riley's mother and sister who was there, she's brutally murdered by a legal immigrant that they would not deport. They wouldn't stand for that. It was embarrassing, shameful, but unfortunately not that surprising in my mind.
So with that, I mean, I just think back to some of the ones that Biden did. Like, I understand that you probably obviously agree much more with what you heard last night than, Joe Biden's State of the Unions. But what was it about the tone, the tenor? How are they different beyond obviously the policy?
Yeah, I think, first off, Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. And Trump called him on it last night when he said, look, this is my fifth time standing before you talking to the Democrats, the left side of the room. They were on his right. He said, it doesn't matter what I say. You are not going to stand, clap or applaud. He could announce that he found a cure for cancer and they would have just sat there, right? I mean, it's just, but the country sees that. It's ridiculous. They just got shellacked at the last election for a reason. You would think they would maybe moderate, change their tune, choose to move forward with us to save the country. They've been unwilling to, but that's fine. We'll just keep moving ahead.
So Tracey Mann is here, Kansas 1st Congressional District, joining us on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. When you all got done last night, what was the tenor? What was the reaction? How does that work? Take us behind the curtain, so to speak, on what the night looks like after the speech takes place.
Yeah, well, afterwards, the president is there, talking to folks, shaking hands with people, which is great. All the Democrats immediately, the few that were still left, they made a beeline for the door, which was, interesting. But then the other thing, the president, as he's moving around the Capitol, different halls and corridors are being opened or closed depending on his movements. Meanwhile, there's a whole bunch of media that's set up outside of the room. And so, a lot of us, then go and do media, radio, TV, and the like in other parts of the Capitol. So it's a very fun, active, busy night. But most importantly, Donald Trump communicated clearly to the American people while speaking to a joint session of Congress what he's accomplished and what his vision is for the golden age of America. I thought he did a masterful job. And it's a day I think that almost everybody in this country are proud to be an American.
So what happens now from the standpoint of trying to move the ball forward on legislation in the House? What's next for you guys to try to, carry this momentum forward?
Yeah, sure. Well, first and foremost, we've got to help him secure the border, right? And it was very clear what he said last night when he said, the Democrats, Joe Biden said we needed different laws to secure the border. No, actually, we needed a different president. I don't know if you caught that line. I thought that was the most memorable.
That was great.
You talk about landing a left hook right to the jaw. He nailed it. But legislatively for us, to uproot a lot of the illegal immigrants that are criminals in this country takes resources, takes money. So Congress, we need to get that to him. So we're working on that. There'll be, unsure right now if it's going to be one big, beautiful bill or two bills, but basically a big piece of legislation that will really, codify a lot of things he's doing on the border, getting the funds he needs. But also, what do we need to do, Pete, all the policies that need to be changed to return to American energy dominance? And then thirdly, how do we prevent tax increases on folks? If Congress does not act, everyone in America is going to get a tax hike come January the 1st. So those things are front and center legislatively for us, as the government funding also expires next Friday as well. So there's a lot going on legislatively, but we finally have a president that'll sign good legislation into law, and it's great to get to work with him on it.
I got a minute, Congressman Mann, but concerns, obviously your district heavily ag-based, concerns on these tariffs, or did you feel like out of last night this is hopefully going to be more of a negotiation than it is going to be just, endless tariffs that could have a negative impact on the ag industry?
Yeah, it's going to be negotiation. Donald Trump is a deal maker. Prove that as a real estate development. His in his core, he's a real estate developer, right?
Yep.
He makes deals. He negotiates. He's good at it. And so he is now negotiating new relationships, renegotiating our relationships with the world and our trading partners. He also communicated very strongly last night that he loves and cares deeply for our farmers. And so, he's in the renegotiation process. It is going to be a process here as we move forward, but he is very clear. He supports our farmers, is going to work to get them to a better spot as we make agriculture and all of our exports everything they possibly can be.
All right. Well, Tracey Mann, thank you for being here. Thanks for the insight, having been in the room last night, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Okay. Hey, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thanks for all you do, Pete.
You bet. Tracey Mann, big first congressional district in Kansas, but now that district includes Lawrence. So, a lot of our listeners there in Lawrence, that is now your Congressman, Tracey Mann.